All right. Today's Sunday, Sunday the 18th of May. We recording our thoughts for the market. So we start with the usual stuff, Dixie. So we start with there was an interesting thing I saw on the monthly chart, on the yearly chart, right? So if you look at the Dixie on the yearly chart, right, what you can see is we're forming kind of like a red year, right? And historically, when you have a red year, I mean, I know we are only 5 months into it, but we probably likely close red for Dixie in the year. The way things are looking, which means if we do next year, we likely will have another red as well. Um, when moment you close red, you go a couple of years down, or at least one more to the downside. But having done these steps, step one, step two, step three, we could be coming back to these zones here if we close the yearly red. If we look at the monthly picture on the month, what you can see is this here is the 50 EMA and it's a resistance. So we close below it. And normally when you close, you do a loop back to retest to see if there's still rejection. We are being rejected of it. So I expect us to come back into the zone. So our area of interest box is here. That's our area of interest, and it kind of coincides also with a trend line, which goes all the way back down to this point here. So this base here, and therefore this area will become the area where hopefully potentially get some response, right, to the a bounce back up. So at the very least, we can expect it to fall to the 96, between the 96, 97, all the way to 90 zone. That area could be an area of interest for the dollar, but it will take a few months. It's not just going to happen, just in a week. So for next week, I think we loop back, and it's going to be a loop back into our area of interest box right here. So that's the Dixie. Let's move on to the next one, NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ on the monthly chart, let's start on the monthly. You can see it's looking really, really strong. As you can see, strong candle. I think this month will close green. It will be a green month. Most likely, we're not far. We're only about 13, 12 days or so, or 13 days away. It's going to close green. Um, if we go to the weekly chart, you can see strong bullish candle formed last week. Normally, with these strong candles, when they form, you tend to get a bit of a pullback into the candle before you continue going up. So, I'd expect some form of pullback. And if we go on to the 4 hours and go and have a look at the 4 hours, that pullback is already started. So, if you look at the picture here, and I put these question mark, question mark, question mark, right? Normally, I like to see these three candles in a kind of big candles. And you can see that the length of this candle becomes smaller and smaller relative to this one. And we're kind of outside the KC channel. Whilst you're outside, you're strong. You come in and then you close out. You can't really go, and you come back in and you come and do a retest. This is the retest and fail. Come back again, rejected, and now we're being rejected. So the next logical step, excuse me, is for this to come all the way down. I think somewhere into this box here, even it could come all the way down to this point here, which is around uh 27.84. And then you have another hopefully at that point, you'd have us going back up. So that's what we're seeing on the Nasdaq at the moment.
Yeah, it seems to be that our time below the mid Bollinger Band has been spent. It looks like we got 1 week of downwards action. Little one small wick. So this is invalidated. So I guess we are on our first wave up now. I was just presenting the risk that sometimes, as you can see right here, we have a couple weeks of just kind of feeling out this mid Bollinger Band. Just wanted to make that apparent, and it turns out it lasted 1 week. So that is the stock market for you. We are on track to, I believe, break this Bollinger Band or just bunny hop it, kind of like we do over here. As the Bollinger starts to go up, we just kind of bunny hop like we do over here. And this is just going to be our first wave, and it's going to seem like a melt up in my opinion. It's as we saw last week, the S&P was kind of gapping ahead of Nasdaq. So it looks like, I mean, we haven't looked at SPY yet, but I will assume that things are about equal now, unless SPY is up here. So it's nice to see that those two have caught up to each other because that was starting to worry me a little bit. On the daily, we have broken above this upper Bollinger with a very bullish candlestick. So things are looking good for the stock market.
Are
That's
you
all I got.
are you expecting a pullback, a little pullback next week to maybe
I mean,
21142 to test the
two,
Bollinger?
1, 1, 4. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not out of the ordinary. Let's see what kind of liquidity we have, if any. None on the 4. Let's check the hourly. See what we got. So we have a candle break of the volume threshold right here. This looks to be this candle. So let's see if it has been recovered. So we go to the top of this candle here with our crosshair. Oh, it actually looks to be, gotta zoom in a little bit more. Oh, it's the second one. So this one was not immediately, but halfway recovered. So this liquidity is off the table. I'm not seeing really a lot of liquidity that we're gonna fill and
Sure.
then have a downturn. So I think, straight up is probably more likely than a downward touch of the upper Bollinger. I mean, it could happen, Mondays like the fake outs. So
Right. Okay,
if it's going to
cool.
happen, I'd say Monday.
Okay, cool. All right, so the next pair we're looking at is the SPX spider. So I'm gonna start from the top. There's something interesting, obviously, on the yearly view, which I was looking at over the weekend, and you can see, this year is going to be a green year. We out well outside the KC channel, and we've come back to kind of retest it, and we're on our way going. This is going to go high. We're very high. So it's looking good on a yearly view. I know the year is not ended, and the monthly view is still looking very strong. We kind of above the middle KC channel, and above the 9 as well. So positive territory. If we bring it down to the weekly chart, again, we've got a very green candle here. I expect more upside, but I do expect a small pullback. Normally, with these candles, when they form, you get a small move to the downside before you continue. Most of them, small pullback, you go small pullback here, small pullback, then you go to another example here, small pullback, you go. So here, small pullback. So nothing major, but just a small pullback. And if we go into the 4 hours, I think their pullback is already started already. So what you've got is you got step 1, step 2, step 3 on the 4 hours, right? And then now you're getting resistance, right? This closes outside the Bollinger, the KC channel, and since then we're kind of struggling to keep up above it. So, and we do have a stopping candle here. So I think for me, again, it's one of those that I expect a pullback. So, area of interest into this box somewhere here, and then we continue our journey to the upside, which will be a very good place for those who want to kind of get into the long position on it. Now, I would say if we break this, if we close and confirm, so close below, then try a retest and fail, then this gap here will be closed before we go up. But it's remote, but that's something to be aware of. And like I said, I don't want to see price below here. If I see price below here, then it means we're going all the way down to here, the zone here. There's a gap here to be closed as well. So which is around 5.2. So it depends on how the pullback plays out. If small pullback continue is what I would expect based on the higher time frame. But we have to be aware of the risk to the downside if it fails to confirm And I'm just going to pass that back to James to give us his thoughts.
Yeah, so kind of the same thing with Nasdaq, but let's look at the monthly here. Very nice pings off this mid Bollinger. We're kind of staying just above it. Right here, we had a touch and we kind of came above and then sat back down and tested it out after a week or two of extension. So we're just getting to the tip of it right here, right now. Let's go to the weekly and see what's going on. So we are extending past that midline. Um, it's going to take a couple of weeks to turn this upper Bollinger upwards so we can chase it. That's what, you know, this S&P 500 likes to do. It likes to get above the upper Bollinger, kind of stay up there, make it turn upwards, and then maybe drop back down. So we're going to come up, we're going to hover, in my opinion, in this zone, get this upper Bollinger to turn up, kind of like this. And then while we're up here, we come down and we touch the Bollinger, kind of like right here. So we're going to get up, we're going to get this Bollinger to turn upwards, and then we're going to go test it one more time, and then we're off to the races. So I think we hover in this area, get this Bollinger to turn upwards, touch it one last time, and then we're off. This will be a nice confirmation for us if we do get something that prints like this. If we're going to come up here and have a bit of a run, and then we know we're waiting on this last Bollinger touch here. So it's going to be nice when it happens. It'll be a nice long position. So that's what I'll be watching for. I'm not really super interested in trading something at all-time highs, but I am interested in that ping off of the Bollinger after um, price exhaustion. That's
Oh,
all I got.
right. Okay, gold. So it's the next one. So if you look at gold on the monthly picture, we're still above the KC channel. Um, so still in strong territory on the monthly chart. However, we print in a red candle. And if we do print a red candle, then I would expect it to come and retest some of this wick here because there's clearly a lot of liquidity sitting below here somewhere, all through here. There's a big liquidity there. So I'd expect us to test some of that liquidity. If we go on to the weekly chart, we close red. Okay, there's still rejection of lower prices at the wick of here. So I think I would expect a move to the upside first before we roll over and come and test the middle of the KC channel. So into next week, I'd expect us to kind of play around here somewhere there, uh, you know, kind of push our way up to somewhere here, into that box. We get to like maybe 3.235, maybe tops 3.246, somewhere there. These tops here, this here becomes an area for us to kind of retest. And if the retest, most likely 80% will fail, which means you then roll over and come and test the middle. Here, I think we will get some support. Here, here, I think we will do get because there's liquidity sitting at the bottom of this wick here, which needs to be tested to a degree. So I'd expect us to come all the way into the zone, and that's where I've kind of got my ultimate full target on gold sitting. I think I need to move this slightly up to somewhere there. Yeah. That's where I've got my kind of ultimate full target on gold. So that's what I'm seeing on gold. So I potentially will be taking shots in the zone when it gets there, and I'll be then running it all the way to this point here at some point. So that's what I'm seeing on gold into next week, and I'm just gonna pause it and let James give.
Yeah, so one of the only things I've been correct about these past couple videos is calling the top on gold. Things were getting exhausted as we could see with our volume and it started to turn downward. So now that we look while we're on the downward spiral, let's see, we have a bit of liquidity here. It's not necessarily breaking the threshold, which would really make me think that we're gonna absorb all of that liquidity. But this is the weekly. Let's see the daily. It's just about there. See if we go lower, not much. So yeah, like Kenny said, areas of interest are around 3,000. I think there's probably a lot of stop losses at the 2,999 level. Just, thinking as a basic trader, um, even this even this low right here. So that's two things. It's an important number and it's an important low. So when those two things come together, we have a pink candle that's breaking threshold that hasn't fully been recovered, which is our third reason. So first one, 3,000 is a big number. Second reason, um this is a big low right here. So they're going to want to sweep this low and grab those trades. Third reason, PVSRA volume breaking threshold right here. Doesn't matter if there's $1 left on the table, $2, doesn't matter. So we're going to put a box from that candle just about a little bit below that low.
Yeah.
So that's area of interest for gold. And let's see what happens. I mean,
So,
what do we no real liquidity up here. We are on the mid Bollinger, and as you can see, it's kind of been a strong support. So we can put up a Fibonacci retracement tool just to kind of see some areas just off of this first move. So we're looking for 50% if it does want to turn upwards, which is at 32,850. So we'll put another box there at the 50% mark. And we usually on downward moves, you're looking for 50% on these small moves right here, just like this one wave top to bottom. You're looking for 50%. But if it's a strong move to the downside, you usually won't get above the 78.6. So we're already we pinged off of the 61.8 and we're headed down. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we come up, touch the 50%, but I am expecting price to be around the $3,000 level, which is also our fourth reason, the 61.8. So it'd be a nice measured move if we can come up, hit the 50%, come down, hit the 61 or hit the 161.8%. Sweep all those lows and recover that volume. That'll be a nice picture perfect move on gold with our strategy. That's all I got.
cool. Thank you. So the next thing we're looking at is the VIX. Now, the VIX has been on a downward trend. Last week we closed red, and I do expect more downside on the VIX. Now, the only thing I'll say is, we could have some kind of small bounce. So, I just get this interest box a little bit closer to here. So we could get small bounce first because normally when you break these 200 EMA, 200 EMA, you tend to get a retest of it, a retest before you continue. You normally don't just break it and just go down. Like here, for example, like you see, you break it, and then you have a retest before you continue going down. Um, and another one is here. You break these key things, you tend to retest it first before you go down. So I'd expect something similar, kind of a fake out before we continue. And then, we'll be coming into these zones here, these zones. So, all these bottoms here become support. So I think when we get into these zones or even here, then, you can expect some form of reaction. And I think potentially that takes us like next week. Next week will be fine. Then the following week, so about 3 weeks. And I think all that time, the coins and the stocks and everything will be going up, taking us into somewhere in sorry, June, middle of June. And I think you can expect some fireworks on this in June, middle of June. So that's the VIX. Let's move on to BTC dominance. Um, Dominance on the monthly chart. We're likely to close red on the monthly chart, and maybe we might get a small push to the upside before we continue going down. So dominance is topped out, in my view. If you go on the weekly chart, it's trying to have a bit of a bounce, which is normally what you get with the middle of the KC channel. You're gonna get some kind of reaction when you get to the middle before you continue going to the downside. And I think, yesterday when I posted my video, I was talking about having a rejection of I think is it the 4 hours? I think it was the 4 hours, and I was saying we'd be likely going to be rejected from here, or worst case scenario at this point here, and that's exactly what's happening. So we're being rejected of it, which means the altcoins are going to go up. So, which is good for altcoins in going into next week. We can expect, you know, we can expect this thing to come all the way back down, at the very least, back to test these points here, where there's going to be some form of liquidity here. So even if it's going to continue going up, it will come in to test this point here first. So I'd expect some more downside on the Bitcoin dominance. It's had its bounce, I think, and more downside going into next week. Total three. Um, so total three on the weekly chart is still a very bullish chart for me. And normally with these green candles, you have a green candle, you tend to pull back before you continue going up. Most of the time. Even this big green fat candle, you had a small pullback before you continued going up. The same as this, you had a small pullback. The same as this, you had a small pullback. The same as this, you had a small pullback before you go up. So I think we've had that pullback. Um, and if we go to 4 hours, we might get a confirmation of that. So we can see now we are above the 50, which is strong territory now. And we also look above the middle of with this yellow line, the middle of the KC channel. So long as I think we close above it in the next 4 hours, it's probably going to be, I think, is it 6 o'clock? I think is it 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, one of them. If we close this above, we'll do a small retest. I think there could be potential pullback to retest it, the 50 again. And then if we hold, then that's the end of it. This is going to go up back to these tops again. So looking good also on the total three as well. And now obviously we move on to Bitcoin itself. I want to start with the CME chart. So if I go on the CME chart and bring the monthly chart, this is the big money traders, their chart. Um, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, their futures, and yes, you can see it's looking very strong. They closed very strong. I mean, the month is not closed, but I think we probably close green and likely outside the Bollinger Band by the end of the month, by outside the KC channel by the end of the month, likely. So which means more upside in that event. So, and then if we go into the weekly chart, they've already had their pullback, in my view. They've already had the pullback. So the pullback has already happened. I wouldn't expect us to come back anymore. And I think that's why Bitcoin is rocketing away now, because when they come, at the very least, price shouldn't be likely below 104, because they're going to rocket. This is going to go up. It's not coming back down on their chart. On this chart, it's an upward trend. It's not downward trend anymore. So, the box I drew here, it's been touched already. We came close to it. I don't think we go below it anymore. So I think this goes up, and if you go even on their 4 hour chart, you can see we're still above the middle of the band. So we closed above it and we kind of retesting it a little bit. And this last candle here and volume here, it's kind of retested. So retest, we're still above it. So we're still in a strong territory. I think this continues to go up. When you look at it on a 12 hours, okay, on 12 hours showing some form of weakness, but this is all bullish consolidation to me. All this is bullish consolidation. When you spend the whole week just chopping sideways and not going anywhere, that tells you something. It's not going anywhere, because otherwise it should have collapsed a long time ago. This thing goes up. So that's on that one. Let me go on to IBIT. So on IBIT as well, this is the iShares from BlackRock. And again, you can see they've already done their pullback. The pullback has happened. So it's go time. and they're going to push this up coming in the coming week. We might get a small pullback again, but I don't think nothing serious. Not maybe we get 50% of this somewhere around what 58.3, and then we send it off again. Volume is looking strong. Volume is reasonably good. We've started kind of ticking up on volume as well. So it is a very strong chart. So I expect more upside. And then if we look at it from the Binance Perpetual chart, we can follow our boxes that we've drawn. Make this bigger. So this is kind of the box pathway which we are following. And you can see already, the pullback is finished now on this chart. It's finished now. Again, they are this is mirroring now the CME chart because this is how these look like. And so our next step is to go, hit that 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, somewhere there. And I think we'll do a pullback. We'll do a pullback to test, a little bit pullback, then go again higher, into the 150s, 160s. Then at that point, we can have a proper correction. That may bring us back to these tops again. I may bring us back to these tops before we go again. So that's what I'm seeing. I mean, on 4 hours, if I go into 4 hours, you can see the big volume that's coming. Look at this volume right here. If I make it smaller and bring the PVSRA candles, I can't see the volume here, but if I go to 15 minutes, it will be there. You can see. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those volume PVSRA candles. Look at it. These are not small people buying Bitcoin. This is big time. People buying Bitcoin. They're clearly pushing it up. It's going to go higher. Um, so yeah, it's looking really good. And we are actually, getting close to closing above the KC channel on 4 hours. And if we close above 4 hours, we're going to go higher. So everything is looking really good on Bitcoin. So I think I've said enough on Bitcoin. I'm just going to move and pass it over to James.
All right, so the only thing that Bitcoin really has going for it, in my opinion, is we're above the upper Bollinger on the daily, and I'll show you that in a second, but I think you can picture it in your head. Um, I think like Michael Saylor or something, someone is buying, or the government, or Elon Musk. This is unusual activity. I'm not touching this. Um, all of this liquidity, this is 15-minute liquidity. We've been over this. I think this is 30. And this is hourly liquidity. This is the real deal right here. I mean, you can write off a 15-minute liquidity and 30-minute liquidity, but you're not writing off our liquidity. And 0% of this has been resolved. We tried with this red wick and it's a no-go. Um, you know, it's rare, maybe 10% of the time Bitcoin will print a move that's going to go absolutely parabolic ballistic and not pick up any of the liquidity along the way. But you also, not only is it liquidity, but these are all long positions that haven't been touched. They're not coming after their stop losses at all. Right here, we got three big bottoms that haven't been recovered. Not even talking liquidity. These are trades. These are stop losses. Here's another big one. We haven't swept the lows and came after longs. Here's another one in a very long time. And then you think about liq the liquidity on the table, not only the traders, but Bitcoin's got to eat. This is only going to last for so long. Someone is propping this price up. This is what you see when you look at SHIT coins on Solana network. This is bot buying. I mean, oh, look at the daily. We're above, it looks nice. Sure. This is bullish. It is. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. If this thing wants to continue to run, it's just going to continue to run. That's all. That's all it is. Unfortunately, for the way that I trade, I'm not touching this until we get recovered volume. This is confirmation for me. These blue boxes, this blue box down here, that means confirmation. This is all a fake move to me because Bitcoin hasn't proven itself at a low. This is euphoria right here. I don't touch euphoria. This is greed right here. I don't touch greed. I understand it's above the upper Bollinger, but I don't take trades on a daily time frame. I have to come down to the hourly and see if there's been any confirmation. If Bitcoin came down here just a couple more dollars and touched this candle, it's down to the dollar. It didn't want to, even down to the dollar. It's ridiculous. There's been no confirmation. And I'll sit on the sidelines. That's fine. If I have to sit on the sidelines because taking a short in this situation is dangerous as well. The dumb traders make money in this situation. They go, "Oh, look at this, I go long." But there will come a time when they're not going to be right anymore, and it's going to turn down. And these are areas
What
of
is,
interest when it does turn down for me.
I just want to ask a question. What
Mhm.
what is your weekly chart telling you?
We just found the upper Bollinger. Let me zoom in. We just found it,
So
and we
we
have
currently still,
confirmation in 8 hours.
so we're still above it right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I
I'm kind
mean,
of looking at the daily as far as confirmation of lower prices. I mean, we're moving away from it, and it is really
so
hard for me to call
so
top on a Bitcoin.
so there's one thing I learned from Trading for a Living by Elder, Dr. Alexander Elder, and he says, the weekly chart is like your tide, right, of the sea, and the daily is the waves, and anything below that is ripples, right? So if you imagine like being the sea and you want to go against the tide, most of the time you're going to drown, right? So you have to swim in the direction of the tide, but you have to use the waves that come back of the tide to get the momentum, right, to go, right? So any pullbacks on the daily in on this chart is is a buy. It's not a short because the tide is still up and it's pointing upwards. And until that tide changes, you go with the tide. If the weekly changes, which is the tide, then you say, okay, now I'm going to use the daily, which is now the waves, to take shorts. And then of course, I just piece the kind of the KC channel, the Bollinger, the middle Bollinger, the divergences and all that kind of stuff. I just piece that into it. And so far on your chart, we are above all the key metrics for continuation. It's like when you were here, if I just pick a pencil, um, and let me just pick the pencil. Where's the if I can pick the pencil. Oh, here, yeah, right. It's like here, right? I'm hopefully gonna draw on the chart and then hopefully, oh, draw here. It's like here, right? So here, when you were here, somebody would be doubting it, right? And say, oh no, it's just gonna go down. Boom, off it goes. Here is the same here. Doubt, boom, off it goes. Again, it's like, and this is step one, step two, step three. So there's step four, step five left. So this thing is bullish. It's way bullish. I think maybe after we've hit maybe 120, we can come back for some of these liquidity you're talking about, 99, 90, and that may scare a lot of people. That okay, it's the end of the move, and you get kind of a reverse move back to maybe 150, 160.
Problem is,
Um,
where are you jumping in? I mean, it's easy to say
no,
like, oh, like yeah, okay. If it's hard for me to trade strictly Bollinger Bands. I mean, it's nice because price is only going to go up when it's above the upper Bollinger, like we know this.
yeah,
But like it's find an entry. So I got to go down to the hourly and I got to look for entries based on the volume. And even this one, it's down to the dollar. It won't do it. So I have to
but
I have to sit and wait on the sidelines.
you could have entered when you could have put an entry at that top of that wick of that green candle you were talking about. So that green candle top, and you would have been picked up because the wick got into it. Here, that yeah, that side, that green candle wick. Just go to the bottom of it. Even the bottom of the candle itself, not the wick, the bottom of no, sorry, the top, after the wick, the top part of the candle without the wick. Yes, you would have been picked up. So that should have been your entry point, entry one, and you would have been picked up and you would have been in profit.
Yeah, I need a bot for that.
No, you could
And
put a
then
limit order. You could just put a limit order on there and just leave it. And you get picked up
I'd have to have
whenever
an
it happens,
alarm.
you know.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. I like to have 100% of it. I mean, and it's so clear that like, I mean, right here, this is a weird candle setup, but
So anyway, I
it
think we'll just have to wait to see what happens. I mean, I'm pretty bullish, at the moment. There's nothing that I see on the chart, that tells me that, go short at all. You had a squeeze. Like even if you look at this 4 hour chart, your Bollinger has squeezed and now you popped. And wherever you pop, that direction is where the price is gonna go.
I know, but it's Sunday.
Doesn't matter because you know what, like
Where's
Monday,
the vo
Tuesday.
there's no volume. Look at the volume. There's nothing. This
Yeah, I
is
know. It's gonna come. It's coming. It's coming. Like, it's the same
so
as
when
like
so
last
you
week.
think it just it doesn't make any sense to me. So when America wakes up in the morning, they're gonna get higher prices, okay? And they're
Mhm.
gonna buy, and then it's gonna continue to go up. Like no, when it turns over, which it hasn't yet. You see these all these green line or these orange lines. It hasn't turned over one time. No losses or no longs have been came after because people put their lows at the bottom. That's what this is showing you. People put their lows here, they're not getting recovered at all. So it's eventually going to happen. And I highly doubt that they let Bitcoin go up here Monday morning at 106,000 and then everyone buys, all the Americans buy, and then it continues to go up. Like it's going to turn around on them. And I don't know if it'll be happy with this liquidity. We might go down to this liquidity at like 90K.
Yeah.
I just
But
there's too much dumb money just buying, think it's going to continue to go up. I mean, that's kind of how Bitcoin operates, but I just want one area of liquidity to be picked up and then reverse back up, and then I'll be completely happy. That's all I want.
sure.
All I want is some of this liquidity to be picked up. I'll jump in. I want 100% of the candle filled. I'll jump in, and then that'll be that.
Let's make James happy. Come on, Bitcoin. Okay. All right, cool.